It was the middle of summer when strange whispers began circulating through the quiet neighborhood of Maple Ridge. The Williams family, known for keeping to themselves, had recently made an unusual decision, one that no one could understand. For weeks, neighbors had noticed their 10-year-old son, Ethan, spending his nights not in the comfort of his bedroom, but in a small tent pitched in their backyard. At first, people assumed it was just a fun summer activity, but as the weeks dragged on, the situation became more concerning. Ethan's makeshift camp seemed increasingly permanent. Even on rainy nights, the tent remained standing with the boy quietly curled up inside. No one had seen him playing with the other children or attending any summer events, which was unusual for such a lively kid. Eventually, the whispers turned into deep worry. Some neighbors thought it was a strange parenting technique, while others felt it was something more sinister. One day, Mrs. Parker, the elderly woman who lived next door, overheard Ethan's parents arguing loudly in the backyard. Curious, she peered over her fence and saw Ethan sitting outside his tent, hunched over, his face pale. She couldn't hear the full conversation, but what she did catch made her heart sink. "We have to do this. He needs to learn," Ethan's father, Mark, said sternly. "He's just a child." Ethan's mother, Linda, shouted back, her voice cracking with emotion. "This isn't right." That night, Mrs. Parker's worries deepened. She sat by her window, staring at the small tent illuminated by the faint glow of a porch light. The air felt heavy, as though something was terribly wrong. Finally, after much deliberation, she decided to call 911, concerned that whatever was happening went beyond normal parenting. When the police arrived, they were met with reluctance at the door. Mark and Linda Williams insisted that everything was fine, but after further questioning, their strained faces told a different story. With mounting pressure from the officers, the truth began to unravel. Ethan had been suffering from severe behavioral problems at school. For months, he had lashed out at his teachers, fought with his classmates, and shown signs of deep emotional distress. Desperate to find a solution, Mark had come across an outdated method online, suggesting that isolation in a harsh environment could build character and teach children responsibility. He convinced himself this would help Ethan understand consequences, even though it tore Linda apart to watch her son sleep outside, night after night. The situation had escalated when Ethan started refusing to sleep inside the house, claiming he was too dangerous to be around his family. Mark believed the only solution was to continue the harsh treatment until Ethan broke down and changed his behavior, but what he failed to see was that his son was not being disciplined. He was being damaged. The officers immediately involved Child Protective Services, who arranged for a psychological evaluation of Ethan. It became clear that Ethan's behavior stemmed from deep-rooted trauma that had been neglected for too long. He wasn't a bad child. He was a deeply hurt one, crying out for help in the only way he knew how. The parents, overwhelmed by the realization of the harm they had caused, broke down in tears as the gravity of the situation hit them. Ethan was placed in temporary foster care, where he began receiving therapy to address his emotional issues. His parents were given court-mandated counseling, and over time, they learned healthier ways to communicate and care for their son. The neighbors were left in shock, but also relief, knowing that their call to 911 had prevented further harm. The Williams family's story became a cautionary tale, showing that what may seem like a solution to a problem can often do more harm than good. In the end, it was the community's concern that saved Ethan from enduring further emotional neglect, and it taught the Williams family the true meaning of love and care.